So I really pay a lot of attention to the chemistry. And you want to know what chemistry is? Who wants to know what chemistry is? You hear it all the time, right? I'm totally focused on her when I talk to her. You know, she's the only person in the room, for the most part. You know, we like each other a great deal. It's a fair statement. We're also married to other people, and so we're cognizant of the fact that we got to keep a distance because there is this level of trust that is uncommon in most relationships, and it can be easily misinterpreted. We were a little worried about that in the trial, but she doesn't hesitate to tell me I'm crazy, or that, no, Rex, that's just stupid. She doesn't hesitate, and I can accept it from her. And when she goes off pattern or off plan, I trust her that her intention is the well-being of the case. Everything she does is the well-being of the case. Once you have that relationship, you're unbeatable. And in that particular trial, we had 5 of us.
Right.
The
Bruce Schechter.
What?
The Bruce Schechter was there with us, right?
That's right. He was for a while. Yeah.
Average Kale Parris.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And,
they were all there.
Brian, or was it? Who else was there with us?
Christian was there.
Christian was there with us. So.
Yeah. Anyway, and then you have the whole team at the office. I haven't tried a case alone in 20 years. It's too hard. It's just too hard. And I recognize that a lot of folks aren't able to do that yet. But as soon as you can, get there. Because I don't think there is a small case. Not when you learn the science. Not when you learn the science of pain. Not when you learn the science of what that takes away. And we'll talk about that more later in the week. But right now I want to give you what we learned in that trial about voir dire. It was amazing. It was truly, how you have every now and then in life, you have those cathartic moments. It's like, damn! One of those moments. We had that, didn't we?
I think so.
And but we do it a little differently. I never do the mini opening. If you have mini openings in your state, we have them here. And they have to give them now. We got the law changed that if either side requests it, they got to give it. Got to let us do it. You get 3 to 5 minutes. You don't do a statement of case, you do an opening. And in that opening, we do one thing. And at the end of this case, we're going to ask you to fairly compensate them in the sum of what do we say, 84 million?
84 million.
$84 million. Right? You don't have to ask another question, right? Everybody you need to get off that jury, they're coming right at you. That's craziness. They come right at you. But you see, I don't give that opening. Cale did. See the reason? I'm not defending it. I didn't say it. That damn kid of mine said it, right? But I can immediately jump into it. Okay, who thinks that's crazy, right? When I first heard it, I thought it was crazy. Till I found out all that I found out. But what I need to know from you is if you decide that's what it's really worth, that maybe it's even worth more than that, is there anything about your history, your values, your beliefs, and we actually stumbled on it. I didn't know the magic words that you just couldn't do it. Even though you believe that that's what it should be, you just couldn't do it. Now, look at what I just did. I used my hands, didn't I? Even though you believe, and I even look at my hand when I do it, you believe that's what it really is worth, but you just couldn't do it. I'm not in eye contact with you now. I've gone to a third point. You're not feeling attacked, right? And you're going to make a decision. So this one guy, he goes, and it's great, you know you're home when this happens. He goes, Rex, I'm a tort reformer. Called me Rex. I mean, great signal, you know. I wanted to keep him. But that's why I have Marcy, my paralegal, and my son, and Evelyn was there too, because they won't let me do stupid shit like that. I mean, I think I can convert anybody. I can't. And they're there to remind me, you know. I don't get to make the final decision, you know. He goes, I just don't believe that anything is worth that. Damn, we heard it, you know. Evie says she heard it, I missed it. I think she's a little full of herself there. But what did we hear? What did we hear that was so magnificent, that was so world-changing, because it truly was? Believe. He said, believe. And it just, between the two of us, would you give it between the two of us?
I'll give you.
Okay.
You can have
But I got to tell you, she ran with it. I'm not asking people about their bias anymore. I'm not going to tell you I'm biased, no matter how biased I am, right? I'm not going to defend a negative. I'm not going to defend a flaw. And so, yeah, the judge goes, yeah, but could you be fair? She's going to say, yes, I could be fair, right? Nobody's going to die on the hill of bias. They're not going to defend their bias. She is out of her chair when I sat down. It was fabulous. Do it.
So, Mr. Martin, I heard you talk a little bit about your beliefs, right? And when we think about beliefs, it's something that's rooted in you. I want to explore that a little bit. Tell me, this idea that money for pain and suffering is somehow unfair. Where does that come from? Where's that belief come from? So I hear you say no amount of money will take away the pain. Why do you believe that?
Because money is something that's tangible, and money is something that isn't.
Have you ever had an experience where you felt like you couldn't make it up with money? You couldn't fix it with money?
Yeah, if you lose someone, no amount of money is going to bring them back.
Right. So what I'm hearing is no amount of money is going to bring this person back. And that's a belief of yours, is that right?
Yes.
And it's something that's rooted in you.
Yes.
And no one here would be able to change your beliefs. They're important to you, is that right?
Yeah, I think it's just a fact.
Yeah, not me, right?
Right.
Not Mr. Parris, right? And certainly not his honor, right? Because they're important to you. And you don't just shed them when you walk into a courtroom. Okay. We're not going to ask you to change your beliefs. They are who you are, and they're important to you.
See the
So I
difference?
thank you. You're gone. Thank you.
You know, they're not going to
Does
rehabilitate
anyone
that.
else believe? Does anyone else believe what Mr. Martin believes? Show of hands.
But I can put them aside.
No, you can't. Anyone else? Anyone else believe? Have that core belief? Raise your hand. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Okay? Right.
It's precious. I mean, you can't put a value on someone's life or someone's loss of a limb or someone's life. It's
Yeah. And here we do have to do that. We have to put a value on a life, and that's hard. And I don't want you to do that if it's against what you believe, if it goes against your core value.
You see the transition? She just transitioned to values, right? Because they're going to get bored with beliefs. You got to give them another word.
Principles. What are your principles? And sometimes you'll hear the word, they'll tell you. You'll never hear anyone say, I have a bias against. I am prejudiced against. But they'll tell you what their values are. Okay? And you have to listen to the words. And it's going to be different for every person. You have to tease it out a bit. But what Rex did really effectively, I thought, is that really he set it up. And all I had to do was listen. Every single person, I thought, what word did they identify with? And then so when you're talking about that Clinton look back, where you're like, you know, someone gives you that nugget, there's a connection made when someone offers you a word like beliefs. So if Mr. Martin is my juror, and he's the one who says beliefs, I think the Clinton look back's a little fake and phony, but it works.
That's because you don't practice it.
It works, okay? But it's not that obvious, but it's like, if I'm having a conversation with this juror, and it for some reason feels right to say the word beliefs, I might back up and say, beliefs. And then we have a connection. He thought, she heard me. And now everyone else sees that we have that connection. I want to have that connection with her too. Please use my word, principles. Please use my word, values. Right? So that I did learn from the process.
Pick me, yeah.
Pick me. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. And
Okay,
we stumbled
oh, my
upon
turn?
No, I'm just thinking like, you know, I didn't have to so much, I didn't have to fight with the jurors as much.
Right.
Once we figured out that they were really just looking for us to understand them, why they felt the way they did without judgment.
Right.
Right? Because in a lot of ways, what I'm saying to them is, I believe what you believe. I believe that too. And I'm going to give you permission to be firm in your beliefs. I'm going to empower you. I want you to be courageous. So if you believe that, be proud, stand up, say it loud. And there are other people in this room who feel the same way. Will you encourage them to do the same? And then you constantly, someone's wavering, and they waver, right? They waver, and you can see that, oh, defense counsel's just waiting to get up and hopefully rehabilitate them. By the time defense counsel gets up, they've already committed to everyone in the room that they are a person with principles and that they're courageous and that Ibiere and Rex gave them permission to be firm in their beliefs. And so they can say no to defense counsel. If he says, but you can be fair, of course I can be fair, but that's not what I believe. What I believe is this. And then it's done. No judge, I think, with any degree of credibility can not strike the person for cause.
It's new stuff. I mean, we've only done it with 2 trials now. And both judges were very conservative judges. They were mad at themselves that they kicked so many jurors and took so long having to bring in panel after panel because COVID panels are so small. But I want to deal with you for a second, okay? It's hard to put a number on something bad. I mean, pain and suffering is bad, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, pain and suffering is bad, but you're trying to put a number on something that is priceless, and you're trying to put a number on something because you're a trial lawyer and you're trying to make a boatload of money off of it.
Okay, I'll talk to you about the boatload of money in a minute, all right? And yeah, were you in a lawyer who didn't want to make a boatload of money? See, I'm not going to run from that, you know. But let's go back to something. You know, because I always struggle too with this idea of putting a dollar value on something I'd pay to get rid of. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just not in my experience, and it's not in any of our experience. But what about the good stuff that was taken? You know, what about the really valuable stuff, the reason we get up in the morning, the reason we love life? You know, let's talk about those a little bit. What are the diamonds in your life?
Well, my family, I love to read. I'm learning how to downhill ski. I'm learning how to run. So anything I can do outside, I love to do outside. So there are a bunch of things that I am passionate about.
The diamonds, right? That's what I call them, the diamonds in my life.
Okay.
Okay. What about when those are taken? Through no fault of your own, could you put a value on those? I'm pushing him a little fast, but you know.
Yeah, I see where you're going there, but it still would be hard for me, because a lot of that stuff, if I couldn't do stuff, I'm not sure, that'd be priceless too, if you know what I'm saying.
Priceless, right? How many think those things are priceless? Let's talk about priceless. What priceless means, it's incredibly valuable, and it's hard to put a number on it, right? That's why they called them, remember MasterCard moments, right? Right? But, you know, we value things that are priceless all the time. Christie's has auctions, Sotheby's has auctions, priceless works of art, things that are priceless. And it's really hard. It's really a lot of work to figure out what something priceless is worth. And all I'm asking you is, are you willing to do that work? And no matter what that number you come up with, if that's the right number, are you willing to stand behind it?
I'm not sure how to do it,
That's right.
and I'm not even sure if I'm equipped to do it. But would I give it a shot? Yeah, I'd give it a shot.
I can assure everyone, we're going to give you the tools to do it. You know, this isn't the first time it's been done. We will give you the tools. If I give you the tools, will you use them?
Yes.
Any reservations?
No.
Okay, good. Thank you. Catch the look back?
So can I just follow up with that? If I'm the juror, if I'm his co-counsel,
Right.
I'm listening to both of these people and I'm thinking, they seem like good people, right?
Yeah.
I like her a little bit more because she seemed a little bit more certain. But I picked up on what this gentleman said, which was probably, okay? And you said, what was yours? Yes. Okay, so what I would do after Rex has taken his seat is I would go to this juror and I would thank him. I heard what you said about the diamonds in your life and what's important to you. And if I were to give you the tools, we were to give you the tools to kind of put a value on those things, then you could probably do it. I think that's what you said, right?
Yes. I'm hesitant because I'm not really sure if I can do it or not, because I've never done anything like that before. So I can't be certain I can do it, but probably. If you give me the tools, I think probably.
Because sounds like you'd be afraid of doing the wrong thing, or maybe not being able to do it right. Is that about right?
Me, should do that. I mean, I don't know how that would fit in my belief system.
So system of thinking.
System of thinking, right.
Tell me more about your system of thinking. What do you mean?
Well, I'm a very conservative person, so I have very conservative beliefs. I value my faith, I value my family above all things. And I don't know how this coming up with some huge number, which I know you're going to ask me for. I mean, that's what you do as the lawyer, right? You ask us for huge numbers, because I see this on TV all the time. You know, runaway verdicts and all that stuff. So I see this, and so I'm concerned about that, and I'm concerned about the cost to society and the cost for insurance, and I mean, I have these concerns. So but I probably can give you a value if you ask me for a value and you're telling me you can give me the tools, I probably can do it.
So there are a couple of things that are happening here, right? From this juror, without going deeper, we would not probably have discovered that there's some other things that are there. No, you're staged, right? But jurors do typically say the sort of things that you say. And when someone says something like probably, or I will try, or I will do my best, I am concerned. I don't want anyone on my jury who is not certain. You have to be certain, and you have to make that commitment, not only to me, to yourself, but every other juror in the courtroom.
Yes, she violated some rules. Absolutely did. But it's only a rule if they object.
If they object.
And they'll object to me, but they don't object to her.
Yeah, they don't typically object. And it's happened, but you just pivot, right? You pivot. But that's what you're listening for. You're listening for those people who are waffling a little bit, and you're giving them permission to out themselves, right? You will do it eventually. You will do it. So Rex, what he would do is he would just go through the room and just have these very simple conversations with individuals. And what I was listening for are what are your beliefs? So when we talk about listening, there's really only three things you need to be, what listening is, right? Listening is three things.
Let's go back.
Yes.
He's got a good point.
What's the point?
Do the thing about the commitment again.
Oh, the thing about
So we
commitment?
can show everybody the objection and how you.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so where was I?
You said, I don't want any jurors that can't make the commitment.
Yes.
Right? Now,
Okay.
she can pull that shit off. Excuse my language, but I mean, I couldn't. They would no sooner let me do that. Life is not fair.
Well, it's not. It's really not that hard because you're using your language. You said probably, right? You said you could probably do it. What we're looking for, though, is we're looking for a group of people who can commit to listening to the
Objection, Your Honor. She's trying to shore up commitments from jurors. That's completely inappropriate.
Sustained.
What you'll be asked to do is listen to the facts of the case and apply the facts to the law. What we have to know.
So I want you to see something there. For those of you who don't know this, she didn't give any attention at all to it. Not at all. It
This is a BS objection.
It just went right through her, right? And she just changed the word. She's right back at it, you know? A few more of those, it doesn't matter how much they're sustained. The jury gets a little pissed off. You know, stay out of her voir dire. She didn't do that to you. She did, but they forgot it already. But if you turn to argue it, you've now given it a license of its own that wasn't there. You know, otherwise it's just a word we didn't use right. You know, the I like lots of objections because I get to ask it in 20 different ways. I mean, you know, right?
No, absolutely. And if it is a fair objection, and sometimes they are, I'll say that's fair. My apologies, Your Honor. And I'll just change it. I'll pivot. But you know, I think it's hard. I think it's hard to get through a voir dire when you are constantly being objected to. And the best way to avoid that is to make it less about you. I try not to talk about myself in selection at all. If I'm referring to myself or something that I believe, like I can't say I believe you or I agree with you, but in conversing with you, if you see me doing this, there's something telling you that I agree. I agree that money for pain and suffering is just, I mean, how do you put a value on a life? I understand that, right? But I don't have to say it.
So the hand over the heart body language communicates the I agree.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I keep hearing this concept of, money for pain and suffering, and expensive works of art, and et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, you're enrolled?
Huh?
You're enrolled?
You're enrolled.
You're a juror?
You're a juror.
No, I'm asking the question
As a lawyer?
as a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah. It occurs to me, for example, you could say, how do we value real estate? I mean, there's no
Yeah.
price tag on real estate. How do you value?
But that's in the metaphor, and metaphors are tomorrow.
But my question goes to, isn't everything that we think has a price actually fluid? I mean, why do we pay $3 for a gallon of milk? It doesn't have any different value than it did a year ago when it was $2. It's just what the market is. And I've often wondered, isn't an approach that we could take to this about how do you value pain and suffering an approach that would actually appeal to a conservative? Well, it's the same as market forces. The supply and
Yeah,
demand.
I see what you're saying. If you have, once you have your jury, you have to talk in their language. You have to talk about things that they value. It's not about what I value, it's what he values. Now, he's already told me a lot of things. He's going to be a rule follower. That's when he said conservative, that's what he meant. I follow the rules. He's going to give me a lot of money. He doesn't know it now, but he's going to give me a fortune, right? Because he's got a soul. Kids, skiing, he's adventurous. He's told us a lot. I don't know that I would kick him, but the case I'm going to present is about the rules. And the rules really benefit us. Have you seen the rules, what the rules say about what you give money for?
Right.
Right? And the rules say you don't give it for today, you give it for the rest of the lifespan. The rules are really on our side. He's actually a good juror. I would
agree.
think. We got to know a little more. We got to know what we're trading him for. Who could we keep? But I'd be okay with him. I'm in a very conservative area. Lancaster, you couldn't be any more conservative. And, it's shocking it's a good place to try a case. If you do it according to the rules. What do the rules say? Just